The chaos in Ayo Bamidele's Lekki apartment was a reflection of the chaos in his heart. A year had passed since his wife, Stella, walked out, leaving him to raise their daughter, Ada, alone. Piles of laundry mocked him from the corner, dishes overflowed in the sink, and dust settled on every surface. He felt like he was drowning, failing Ada at every turn. The breaking point came on a Tuesday morning. Ada stood by the door, tears streaming down her face. Her school uniform was still stained from yesterday's lunch. "Daddy," she whispered, her voice trembling. "It's not clean." The simple words shattered what was left of Ayo's composure. He felt like the worst father in the world. Later that day, his best friend Femi walked in, took one look at the mess and at Ayo's defeated face, and said the words Ayo didn't want to hear but desperately needed to. "My friend, you can't do this alone. You need help." Femi knew just the person. Her name was Grace Nwosu. When she arrived for the interview, Ayo recognized her instantly. She was the kind woman who had once waited with Ada after school when he was stuck in traffic, calming the little girl's fears. Grace was quiet, respectful, and her eyes held a deep well of empathy. Her references were flawless, but it was the memory of her kindness to his daughter that sealed the deal. He hired her on the spot. Within a week, the apartment was transformed. It wasn't just clean, it was a home again. The scent of jollof rice replaced the smell of stale air. Order replaced chaos. But the most significant change was in Ada. Grace didn't just clean and cook. She saw the little girl's silent pain. She would sit with Ada, patiently helping her with homework and braiding her hair with gentle, practiced hands. Laughter, a sound Ayo hadn't heard in months, began to echo through the halls again. Ayo watched this transformation with a sense of wonder. He saw Grace tucking little notes of encouragement into Ada's lunchbox. Notes that read, "You are so smart," or "Have a wonderful day, sunshine." He saw Ada, who had been withdrawn and sad, slowly start to blossom. The tight knot of anxiety in his own chest began to loosen. He was sleeping through the night for the first time in a year, eating proper meals, and even found himself smiling without forcing it. He was healing, right alongside his daughter. One rainy afternoon, he came home early and found them curled up on the sofa, Grace's arm around Ada as they read a storybook together. The scene was so peaceful, so right. A warmth spread through his chest, a feeling he thought he had lost forever. He was a man who had sworn off love, whose heart had been boarded up and left for dead. But as he watched Grace with his daughter, he felt a quiet click, as if a long-locked door in his soul had just been nudged open. He realized, with a jolt, that he was starting to fall for her. And in the stolen glances and gentle smiles she gave him, he suspected the feeling might be mutual. Just as their little world began to feel perfect, the past came calling. It was a phone call from a number he didn't recognize. "Ayo, it's me, Stella." Her voice was like a ghost, and it sent a chill down his spine. She was back in Lagos. She wanted to see Ada. The ground beneath Ayo's feet felt unsteady again. He ended the call, his hands shaking. Grace saw the fear in his eyes. She didn't press for details. She simply came and stood by him, her presence a silent promise of support. "Whatever it is," she said softly, "we will face it together." The next day, Stella arrived. She swept into the apartment looking glamorous and expensive, her eyes scanning the clean, orderly space with a flicker of surprise before landing on Grace with disdain. "So, this is the help," she said, her voice dripping with condescension. She tried to pull Ada into a hug, but the little girl instinctively shrank back, her hand finding Grace's and holding on tight. The rejection stung Stella. "Ayo, you need to send the nanny away," she declared, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "It's time for our family to be whole again." Later that evening, Ayo found Ada crying in her room. "Daddy, please don't let Grace go," she sobbed. "I don't want her to leave." In that moment, everything became crystal clear for Ayo. Family wasn't about blood or a piece of paper. Stella had abandoned them. Grace had rebuilt them. Family was about who showed up. It was about love, presence, and unwavering care. He found Grace in her room, her suitcase open on the bed. She was quietly packing, ready to leave to avoid causing more trouble. "Don't," he said, his voice thick with emotion as he gently placed his hand over hers, stopping her. "Please, don't go." He looked into her eyes and finally let the words spill out. "I love you, Grace. You didn't just clean our home. You healed it. You healed us." Tears welled in her own eyes as she whispered, "I love you too, Ayo." "Well, isn't this touching?" Stella's sharp voice cut through the tender moment. She had stormed back in, overhearing everything. "How dare you replace me with the maid?" she shrieked. But this time, Ayo didn't flinch. He stood tall, with Grace by his side. "You are not my wife anymore, Stella," he said, his voice firm and clear. "You left. My family, my real family, is standing right here." Desperate, Stella turned to her last resort. She knelt in front of Ada. "Sweetheart, who do you want? Your real mommy, or her?" She pointed a manicured finger at Grace. For a moment, the room was silent. Then, Ada walked, not to Stella, but straight to Grace, taking her hand and holding it tight. The message was unmistakable. Defeated and humiliated, Stella finally turned and walked out of their lives for good. In the quiet that followed, Ayo, Grace, and Ada stood together, a new kind of family, forged not by convention, but by choice and love. Ayo cupped Grace's face in his hands and gave her a kiss that was a promise of a new beginning. 6 months later, their home was filled with life. Ada's colorful drawings decorated the refrigerator. Laughter was the new soundtrack of their days. On Grace's birthday, Ada presented her with a handmade card. On the front, in a child's wobbly handwriting, it said, "To Auntie Grace, the best mom in the world." Grace held the card to her chest as tears of pure joy streamed down her face. Ayo wrapped his arms around both of them, pulling them into a tight embrace. They were a family, whole and unbreakable, built on the strongest foundation of all, love. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more emotional stories. We'll see you in the next video.